Hi, good morning, all. How are we today?
Excellent, excellent. And
So,
Morning.
Good.
I think Miguel may have sent the wrong link this morning, but I hope other persons would click on the other link from the previous classes and they should be able to get in because I had that little issue this morning. So hopefully persons are gonna click on the other link and get in. Owen, you want to say something?
no, I just put my hand up so I can speak on my civil organization, and I also have a newspaper article I want to discuss. So that's why I put my hand up.
Okay, great. Let me just pull up my list because we have some naughty persons in this class. So after last week, I thought we would all have been on track, but I guess not.
Miss
I
Bullard, oh, sorry, good morning. I'll go
morning.
after Owen of the civic organization.
And then
Sorry?
I'll go after her.
No,
I
no,
said
no,
I'll
no.
go
We
after
we we,
Owen.
we have a list. We have a list from last week. Let's start
Okay,
there, right?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let me see who's on the list. That's what I doing. The list is Owen, Gwen, Quinette, and Felicia. We have those persons?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, all.
Okay, great. Okay, so we will start with, first of all, the review sheet, and I guess I should wait for more persons to come in. So let's start with I guess the civic and the newspaper, and then we'll talk about the review class and the review sheet. Okay, so go ahead, Owen.
Okay, my first civic organization is the Rotary Club of Nassau, and we met at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. on Tuesday. We meet in person and online. We meet in person at the Nassau Yacht Club. And our guest speaker was Chief Superintendent Matthew Edgecombe. Now, the topic for his presentation was financial crime. No, what would I call it? Financial crimes. Now, I was kind of disappointed because when I heard financial crimes, I was like, this is the perfect presentation for money laundering and terrorist financing. But after listening to the presentation, the only thing that was really discussed was employee theft. So I was kind of disappointed, and he said that the number one cause of employee theft is that employees see an opportunity for them to steal, and so as a result, they capitalize on the opportunity. And so he was trying to say that to those business owners, entrepreneurs, and so forth, that you need to not give no opportunity for your staff to steal. And so I thought that was very interesting, but I was kind of expecting to lean more to financial crimes as it relates to money laundering, but no, he mainly talked about employee theft. And then with our Toastmasters Club 7178 that meets at Tuesday at 6 p.m. At the Kansas Society as well as on Zoom. We didn't really have a formal program because it was a meet the candidates night on Tuesday. So we didn't really, a formal program was not really put out there where they had the lexicologists, the grammarians, the speeches, et cetera, et cetera. And then I probably may need your clarification, Ms. Bullet, on my article. I read the article. I think it was on Wednesday or Thursday when they talk about this FXL or XL and that they plan to break ground to build headquarters on. And they talk about carbon filaments or something like that. And I thought that was really interesting, and I really wanted to know more about what it really is. So I have to do my research on that. But I am connecting that to cryptocurrencies and so forth. And it looks to me like people are seeing a real advantage to this thing called cryptocurrency. Because for them to come over here and invest all that money to build a whole headquarters here in the Bahamas, they gotta see an opportunity with this cryptocurrency thing. So that's my little 2 cents on my civic organizations and my articles.
Very good, Owen. With the employee theft, I agree where he said, and companies make it, or you have to ensure that nobody can steal, or you have to put controls in place to ensure that employees cannot steal. And one of the controls you could put in place is that there are two signatures, right, required on all transactions or on all checks, that there is dual custody. Two persons have to enter the vault. Two persons, one person at the top code, somebody has the bottom code, and those types of controls help mitigate stealing. I used to work at institution, and I always said if I was a thief, I could go with the entire bank. The controls were very weak. Normally they had one person, handling money and checks and armored truck, and we mentioned this. We wrote into audit, we wrote into compliance, and we said this is what we see. This is, and nothing was done. I used to say, I thank God I am an honest person and I could carry the entire bank. Okay, and persons carried the bank, and it took very long for them to find out. So yeah, I agree. The employers have to do a better job at putting controls in place to protect the institution, because it's very easy, very, very easy. Okay, and then we have very savvy persons now. Once you've been there the longest and you know how the systems work, you know how to manipulate the system, and it's very easy. A common thing is there was a glitch, and I don't know if a lot of anybody who's a teller have experienced this. In order to balance, sometimes you had to plug in a figure, you had to put in a 1 cent. And I always say, no, I don't encourage plug-in, because if you could put that 1 cent in, you could put any amount in. I could put 200 in, and I get balance. So I don't know if anybody has experienced that with the teller system. You always had to, so for the system to balance off, plug it, and you should not ever have to do that. And so sometimes the employer causes you to get ideas, by the lack of I guess, capabilities or functionalities of the system. Okay, so that's what I have to say about employee theft. I agree with that 100%. The next thing I want to say is, by now, I said from intro to follow the FinTech Hub at Securities Commission, right? Because I said in my ICA class that in the middle of the book, that was what we was covering. Our compliance professionals current with artificial intelligence, new technologies. And I sent you all on to find out about these digital assets and currencies. No, Owen? You don't remember that conversation?
Yes, I did, but I didn't take it very serious, I must confess. That was actually an essay question on the exam as well.
Yes, sir. Okay, and then I told you all about Sam Bankman-Fried. I told you all he was 29 years old, and he had $22 billion that started off, I think, his father gave him some money, and he said, no, Dad, I don't want your money. I want to do it on my own. And he built this cryptocurrency empire from scratch. And we remember I was telling you all that we was watching on the Yahoo Finance, where he went from 10 billion to 14 billion to 18 billion to 22 billion in one day, and it was all over the news. I think that was doing our intro class, and I said, these are the people you want to follow. And cryptocurrency is very risky, because it's not what happens is you get a number and I get a number, and there are exchanges. And so if cryptocurrency is not regulated, the exchange does not have KYC as mandatory. So that means I can have a number and Ben Laden can have a number, and we can be doing exchanges. However, once countries would have put laws in place, then that means the exchanges would be regulated, and they would be required to know their customer and verify whom I guess is operating in their using their products and services. And so this is why I told you all to follow Sam, because he put the fire behind the government to put the policies and all the regulations in place so that he could come here and open up his business. And he was very successful in doing that. 1 year ago, he made that happen. And now he's breaking ground in just 1 year. His business has grown drastically overnight. You know, so I said, follow this man. Y'all, this is who y'all want to know, you know, who he is and what he is doing, and educate yourself. But you don't want to be left behind, because there's a lot of digital information out there. And as a compliance professional, when your organization says we want to offer this service or this product, you can't just be doing research and finding out about it. You should be abreast, okay, of what's going on out there in the market and how it works and what are the risks associated with it, okay?
Is
And
he
so,
a pep?
sorry?
Is he a pep?
I haven't heard anything about him being a pet, but I know that he is only a very young guy, very down to earth, all over the news. Like I say, you could follow him on various social media. He's very active. He just donated $500,000 to various charities in the Bahamas. Bishop Lawrence Road got $50,000 from that. It's everything that he has done, you know, it's been very successful, and he has good reviews. Remember when we looked at the Securities Commission site, we saw that there are 3 or 4 of these companies that have been approved since then. Okay, so this is the new wave, and you need to read up on it and follow it and find out who these persons are. Okay. Owen, you should know this by now. Okay, so Sam Bankman-Fried or Fried, F-R-I-E-D.
Yeah, Freed. Okay.
Fried, okay, yeah. All over YouTube, all sorts of videos saying how he's done it and how he's made this money. So yeah, and it's regulated. Every time you go to one of these websites, look to the bottom to see if who they're regulated by. Once you see they're regulated by the Securities Commission, you check the Securities Commission website to make sure, and then you go from there. It's a reputable company. Okay, okay, so very, very good, Owen. Thank you for sharing. Felicia, or what's his full name? Justine is saying Sam Bankman-Fried.
Good morning, all.
Morning.
On the 8th of April, I would have attended virtually, the BACO sanctions industry brief. In reference, and my sharing would be in regards to the points, especially that the Honorable Ryan Pinder made. But one, I was very impressed with the fact that how Mr. Pinder was so involved, and he actually stayed for the entire briefing, which was greatly appreciated. Oh, I was invited by Farida Sands, but I also saw it on the BACO Instagram page, so that's how I got invited. But we also, Mr. Pinder's basically his points were to, I guess, brief the industry on what was the government's response in regards to the actual sanctions, the war in Ukraine and Russia, and exactly what that would mean for us. From what I understood him speaking on, we kind of responded not so much very quickly, but we were cautious in our response generally because of the political and geographical situation that we are in. He also would have highlighted the fact that sanctions are a full-time job, making note of the fact that since the meeting started, he would have gotten some updates on changes that would have been made. And so just that highlighted the fact that we have to remain pertinent on the sanctions, and like Ms. Bullard was saying, stay up to date, because things change so quickly and there's such a chain effect if you don't act or react in a timely manner. The second speaker was Mr. Ulrich De La Paz. Now his accent was a little strong, but thankfully he was he's very patient in regards to explaining things, because we had some technical difficulties. But the premise that stuck out for me was he did a lot of surveys that was along with his presentation. And one of the actual questions was asking if in fact BACO members or members in or industry personnel felt as though their FI was equipped, or that we were actually up to date on the sanctions. And surprisingly, a lot of people did not respond in a strong manner, confirming that they felt able or capable of being able to handle all of the sanction updates. And that really stuck out to me, because these are supposed to be members of BACO and people who are actually in the industry and industry heads, but they were answering the survey saying that they didn't strongly agree that we were actually capable of keeping up with the sanctions, and or if personnel felt comfortable with enacting sanctions and what that meant for their various FIs. So I walked away with a few notes, but also highlighting the fact that I was able to speak with my manager in regards to making note that the sanctions are, in fact, like my OFAC, a daily task is something that one person needs to be doing. And it highlighted the fact that we are severely undermanned, simply because if I'm doing searches all day and I'm not able to pay attention to things that are changing, it affects the workflow. So we walked away from the meeting having to have a little heart of heart with our department. So I felt very grateful for being able to attend the BACO meeting and be able to contribute in my local grouping at work on ways in which we could probably pick up on or tighten our security. That's my 5 cents.
All right, Felicia. So what are we doing with this $4 billion in Russian assets do we have?
So in regards to that, Mr. Pinder said that even though the number was quoted as such, it wasn't something to be so alarmed at, because the numbers weren't as reflective as the actual business amount. I don't remember him speaking specifically to the action plan thereafter, other than the fact that we have suspended any ongoing transactions. As far after that, I'm not too sure what he would have hinted to other than suspension.
Okay, anybody here in the offshore world with Russian assets?
My FI doesn't have Russian assets. We don't have any Russian clients and or Russian assets. So we were quite pleased with that.
You're lucky.
We were definitely pleased with that. That was the first thing we did. I remember when the sanction list actually dropped in March. I remember my manager saying she was going into a meeting because our Germany office was requesting us to actually send an update of all of our portfolios. So when we did, we thought we had 2, but we closed them 6 years ago. So we were definitely in the clear.
Okay, good. Very good. Very good. All right. Very good. Thank you.
One last point, Ms. Bullard. We started an audit last week, and I thought it was funny because they actually brought up the fact that we did have 2 previous Russian clients and the fact that we closed them, but they still had us pull statements up until last week just to make sure that there was no residual business. That was a hit that we had to pull look up the clients that were previously closed, and still, even though some of them are still in operation today in terms of the entity part, we had to look up the PICs, we had to look up the BOs, we had to look up the directors. That took 4 days. So
from 6 years ago, though, from 6 years?
Yes, ma'am. And our internal auditors are they're very analytical, because I didn't understand what would be the premise of us still pulling it, but he wanted to make sure that we went down to the 23rd rank of directors and affiliates to make sure that there was no additional residual business or affiliation. That took us 4 days.
Yeah, because these people are very crafty, and they have a company under a company and all sorts of foolishness, and you could miss it, so you have to keep proper records.
And I want to highlight that my points where I got comments on from my auditor was, I said, are we looking at the English spelling as well as the Russian spelling?
Yeah,
and
girl,
he was like,
ahead.
oh, we're only looking at the English spelling. Well, I think it's imperative that we focus on the Russian spelling and any variations thereof, as well as aliases, so that we can be ensured that we're pretty much clear. I got my points for the audit. I sat back in the meeting after that and I was like, I have nothing else to say. I have contributed I've made my contribution. Please don't speak to me ever again in regards to this. So thank you for that point, because my MLRO didn't think about the spellings either.
Yeah. I say, until it happens, then you don't realize it. And I never realized it until I I got the thing from the FIU. And again, if you don't know, and so this is why it's very imperative to, you have those external asset managers or those business introducers, and we are required to share, Bahamian law with them, and they have to sign off on it. But in reverse, they need to give us some tips about the country because they're the experts on the country. This is why we hire them. And so
Exactly.
a lot of times we don't even bother. You know what I mean? And things like that are very important, you know? So if you deal with foreign countries and you do not speak the language, please leverage off their knowledge and you know what I mean? Talk to them and say, you know, is there anything I need to know about the country? What type of patents, or what have you? Because normally this is why the very better structured organizations or companies have like the Asian desk, because you're able to develop patents throughout the Asian people, and then the European desk, and then the Latin American desk. So there's a lot of little tips that you pick up. So very good, very good. Okay, great. Who was next?
Good morning. Oh, I'll go next. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say. I attended the same meeting that Owen attended, the Rotary Club meeting, the hybrid meeting. So I joined virtually. The meeting in itself was good. I wasn't able to stay to hear the speaker. I really wanted to hear him because as with Owen, I thought he would be discussing financial crimes and related to money laundering and stuff like that. So that was what I was thinking as well. But I couldn't stay for his speech because I had a meeting at work. But I think that the Rotary meeting is one that I would attend again. You know, it appears that they are like-minded individuals who come together, I guess, to just discuss things and to help out in society. They didn't have speeches, or they didn't have speeches as the Toastmasters group does. It's a different type setup. And so I think that meeting is one that I would look into joining in the future. Yeah.
Okay, good, Glenn. I'm happy that you enjoyed this one. And I know the last time you did, I think it was Toastmasters.
It was Toastmasters, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I will definitely join, look into Rotary. So Owen, I would, I guess, link with you to see how I can get involved there.
No problem.
Okay, good. Quinette? Is Quinette there? Okay, perhaps, I don't know. I see it here as the co-host, I don't know. Okay, I guess she'll come back in and let us know. Anybody with the newspaper who wants to share? Okay, so we'll wait till she come back. Okay, so let me just pull up the review sheet. So because I think I have some mistakes on there that need to be corrected. Okay, here it is. Okay, so everybody received the review sheet. Was there anybody that didn't get it or didn't see it in the group?
I got it from the group.
Okay. So I have to check. I have to check your email address. Okay, so is there anybody who was not assigned a question? No? Okay, so
we discuss next week, right?
Yeah, this is in next week's class. Okay, and that's the first issue. Is it possible that we switch the class from Saturday morning to either Wednesday or Thursday evening from 6 to, I guess, about 8? I don't think we'll need more than 2 hours. Is everybody available on Wednesday or Thursday evening? Or is anybody not available?
I am. Thursday would be better, but I could arrange for Wednesday as well.
Okay,
I work this week, but once I know the date, I'll just ask my supervisor to swap days out because I can't have my phone on the open floor. Okay, in the evening? You work in the evening? Yes, ma'am. I'm work till 8 p.m. the week that's coming. So once I know the date, I'll just be able to ask. Okay. Yes. Is there anybody else that has an issue?
Hello?
No, I'm flexible.
Okay, so since Thursday is better, let's do Thursday from 6.
I can't do Thursday, I have to do Wednesday.
Miss
Sorry?
Bullard,
Cameron, I didn't hear you.
I won't be able to do Thursday. I have class on Thursday. Wednesday is a better day for me.
Okay.
I
Okay,
can do
somebody,
Wednesday.
okay, somebody else said something?
yes, ma'am. My internet went out just now.
Okay, we'll get
I
back
was
to you
about
then. Okay,
Yes, ma'am. I was about to share them. Okay,
okay.
then.
So Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m., we'll have this review class. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
is
6
that
to 8
good?
Wednesday.
Sorry?
6 to 8 on Wednesday. No, just confirming. 6 to 8 on Wednesday. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Can somebody put it in your WhatsApp group, please, so everybody would know? There will be no class on Saturday, but on Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. And that'll be our final class. And it'll be our review class. Okay, so let's look at this review sheet to ensure that everybody is on the same page. Here we go. Okay, so I think my first mistake was that I put Crystal 2 times.
As well as me, Miss Bullard,
Okay, who was me?
Tania. So may I stay with just question 10 if possible?
Okay, that's fine, Tania. And what other question did I have before?
Risk rating,
Oh,
risk appetite.
Number 3. Okay, so just Donna and Anita for number 3 then. And then Crystal with a C.
Miss Bullard, I guess you could take me out of question 5 and leave me with, I think, 9.
Okay. Okay, so it will just be Odia and Andrea for question 5. Is there anybody who,
Yes, ma'am. Miss Bullard, I don't know who's Nicole.
okay, yeah, I got an email from Nicole.
Okay.
1 second. Okay, so everybody has a partner, and they know who their partner is and can reach out to them so y'all can answer the questions or come with good information next week.
I'm not familiar with Kendra.
Okay, I don't see Kendra here today.
One question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the one I get is the review question number 1. I was able to segment some examples on this Eggman group. Like for example, look at with the prison officer who just got charged the other day, and then I think we had another case. I can't remember, but you can't find that much examples on drug trafficking. At least
That
me.
into Owen. Listen, at least 100 prison officers just get locked up for drug trafficking in the prison. A girl pretended to be a lawyer and gone into the prison to sell drugs to her boyfriend, was pretending to be a lawyer. At least 100 prison. That is very, very common
What was
practice.
the gaming one when people go in casinos and they money launder with casino chips? This is something I don't even hear about over here.
Winika just read at the back of the book about laundering. There are 1 or 2 cases on in the Tribune. You just have to. I could probably give you a tip on which those 2 cases are, but you gotta remind me, and I'll get that information to you. Okay.
No
So,
problem. I email you.
okay, good. So this review class will only be as what should I say, relevant or beneficial to you as the information that you provide. Ms. Bullard is not coming to give you the answers, okay? what I've been experiencing is that, I put persons in groups, the group shows up and then they say, oh, I never reach Owen and this and that. And so I put you in a room and I let y'all two discuss. Please don't come unprepared. Your class members are depending on you to cut down the amount of research that needs to be done. So please get with your partner. Remember, this class is now on Wednesday. And so therefore, you have today, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, you have 4 days to get with your partner. And we expect you to come with 10 points on how you would answer this possible question, okay? So like Owen is saying, he needed local examples. Like I said, there are loads of examples on the internet from the Tribune and the Guardian on persons drug trafficking into prison or various other drug trafficking cases with sanctions. Loads of information out there on Ukraine and Russia right now. And as it says, it requires research of current examples, research of local examples. So make sure you come with at least 2 local examples that, or current examples that's happening, and have an overview. A lot of times when persons come, they do a PowerPoint presentation, and that's not necessary. Okay, in the exam, we need 10 relevant points that we could develop into a 1-page essay. Now, for the mandatory question, which is on the Eggman group, that's worth 20 points. So perhaps 2 pages. So don't waste your time doing a PowerPoint. Don't bring an essay with long information. We need points that can be developed, okay? And a lot of times when persons are going on, I just simply say, you get no points for that, and persons are offended. No, please don't take any offense. I am just trying to tell you, leave that out, because you're going south or you won't get any points. We want relevance. We want you to ensure that you answer the question, okay? It's very easy to start to stray off with the history of the Eggman group. You'll get no points. You need 1 line on the Eggman group, the group of FIUs around the world, end the story. You won't get any points for anything more than that. When they was established in 19 this and that, no points. Okay, so we don't want any irrelevant information, and the key to the exam is to be able to scale information down and pull out the meat or the relevant points. And so this is why we don't want any additional information to cloud our brains. We don't need no information that won't be relevant, okay? So try and streamline your information as much as possible. Are there any questions? Is everybody clear on what they have to do?
Ms. Bullard, morning, everybody. Ms.
Morning.
Bullard, the Eggman group, when so we're allowed to bring our homework, because I remember last time we was allowed to bring our homework to the class, to the exam.
Right. No. You was never allowed to bring it to the exam, Jasmine. Come on.
I can't remember how it go, but I
Not
know
to
it
the
was something.
exam.
I can remember it was some relevance to our homework in the
No.
exam.
Remember now, you are going to, the exam is made up of 4 essay questions and 1 mandatory question. So it's 5 essays. I always suggest that you would have already done your homework topic. So that's your 1 essay. That's
Okay.
one of your essays. Luckily, if you did question 1, which was on the Eggman group, that's the mandatory question. You don't need to do, you would have already done your research. You would have gotten your grade back. And so you know what your standing is on the Eggman group. That's what I say use your homework for.
Okay, all right.
Right, because remember the key is to go in prepared. You should already know, I'm doing sanctions, I'm doing Eggman group is mandatory, I'm doing risk. So you go in there prepared. So with this 10 points, this sheet, next week when you come, bring your sheet and take notes on what is relevant to answering these questions.
Okay.
But it's a closed book exam.
Okay.
Good morning, Ms. Bullard.
Morning.
Hi, who's Anita? I have never seen that name on the screen.
Never seen Anita. Okay, let me look. Because I don't see her here. Okay, Anita Delmore, I got an email from her as well. Okay, I got an email from Nicole and I got an email from Anita. And so let me pay you with Quintet.
Miss
You
Bullet,
next?
you have me with Anita too. Miss B.
Yeah, I'm looking, I'm checking. I'm looking
Okay.
at the sheet, 1 second. All I did was go from my list. You know that where the thing is going out every week. So, okay. So Donna and Quintet, do y'all want to do STRs or do y'all want to do risk? Donna?
SDR is fine.
What do you think? What is
Yeah,
it?
the SDR is fine.
STRs.
Okay,
Okay,
FDR.
That's mine.
okay.
All right.
And then we have Crystal. You want to stick with the section 319 or you want to where do we have you next? You want to do the tax avoidance?
I'll do 319.
You'll do 319?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So Crystal, we have a group of 3 with Gwen, Cassie, and McQuell. We will leave Cassie and McQuell and we'll put Gwen with you. So Gwen, could you do 319 with Crystal?
Sure, that's no problem. So I'm doing question 3. So
No, question 9.
question 9. Okay, not a problem.
Yeah,
So Crystal, we could connect.
Sure, no problem.
Okay.
okay. And so that would leave Cassie and McKell to do. For McKell isn't here today. But is Cassie here today? Okay, we'll find out. Because it's supposed to be 21%. And then that would just leave risk. And everybody else has a question and we're clear now on what question we're gonna do and who we're in the group with.
Ms. Bullitt, you said we have a Kendra in this group?
Yes, Kendra Jones. She was in last class.
Oh, okay.
Okay, can you try and send out WhatsApp to the group?
Yeah,
Or let me.
I tried. She may not have, I'm not sure if she's in the group, but I didn't get a response yet. I sent a message in the group.
Okay, so what I'll do is let me just send you an email address. I'm gonna put it in the chat right now.
Thank you.
So let me look for her email address. Why is all of this highlighted? So everybody else is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Here we go. Okay, that's Kendra's email address. I'm Jade. Let me see if I just did a homework. If she has another one. Okay. Yeah, she does have another one. Okay. So just copy. Okay, here's another one. So when you email, send it to both. And see if she let me know if she respond, if you have any issue with reaching her.
So one question, once we study this review sheet, we good for the final exam, or we gotta know the classwork too?
I mean, like I said, the homework, the classwork, all of that, all of those questions are past exam questions. You may see one or two of them again on the exam. Once you study the review sheet, the homework, you will still need to do a little bit of research, depending on which questions you're answering. Okay, but that will drastically cut down the amount of work that you need to do.
Because to be quite honest, that classwork hurt my head bad. I ain't gonna lie.
But that's and all of those all those questions are past exams.
Thank you. I guess it's the essay questions that I'm looking at. I think because most of them are essay questions on that classwork sheet on the homework.
Okay. Well, do you all have a study group?
Somewhat. We're supposed to be meeting this week.
Okay, so meet this week and ensure that you go through those questions and you can answer them, because like I say, all of those were taken from past exams. And a lot of persons, especially the persons who are doing the SDR question, they feel like, oh, this SDR, oh, this is cooperation with the authorities. This is going to be easy. It was difficult for them to write. It was difficult to them to write it in an essay. Okay, so like I say, if you're going to answer those questions, make sure you can write it in the essay.
Noted. Thanks.
Yeah, so practice. If you practice writing that, and practice writing it down if it's the STR questions, and make sure that you have relevant points. Okay, because like I said, people automatically assume that, oh, this is STR, I can write this. And I can write this and then I'll be okay, and then they don't do very well on the exam. So practice it if you're going to do those two questions. Okay, practice answering the classwork questions. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions or concerns? No. Okay, and we are all clear that it's on
one last
Wednesday.
question, sorry.
Go ahead.
Now Wednesday is our last class, right?
Yes.
But would you consider giving us another review session before the final exam? Just a thought.
The final exam, and the final exam is the week after. When would you do another review session? When?
Oh, is that quick? It's the 14th, eh?
Yeah, it's the week after.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, so you basically have 1 week, and again, don't get information overload. Okay, and that's when we start to run on and miss the topic, or miss the points that are relevant. It's very easy to get overwhelmed with information. Yeah, so don't send me them bunch of emails you sent last time with this session and you let me know. No, I come in. If you need assistance, you let me know. Right now, I have 50 exam papers that I have to mark before I get to y'all. And my cross marker, I see that we didn't everybody I guess would have their homework grades in, because we didn't get any homework last night. Go ahead, Jasmine, you want to ask a question?
Yeah, I'm just curious to know, besides Felicia, because she seems to have this down pat because it's something she does every day.
I
Who's
don't. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. I don't. But
Oh,
I receive it. I receive
Listen,
it.
yes, sweet girl, you have this together. Besides Felicia, anybody else like does this on a daily basis or like this is like really familiar for them?
Jasmine, please put the nerves away. You get 100%, Jasmine. You can do this. Don't, you put the nerves away.
I
And
can't put
she'll
my
be the
nerves
very one
away.
that gets 100%, and I do
You,
this. I
you,
only do certain every day. I don't do all of the, the to do. So don't put no pressure on me, friend. But I
Jasmine is
respect
a worry wart. That's all it is. Jasmine can do this. Yes, she does not work in the industry. She's very intelligent, very smart. She's gonna get 100%.
Thanks.
Jasmine,
I claim
get
that in the
over the
name of
nerves.
Jesus. I claim that because
Yes,
child,
throw
listen
the
to
nerves
me.
away. Throw the nerves away. But what specifically you want help with to secure your 100? What specifically you want help
No,
with?
it's not that I need help. I feel like I'm confident enough to know, okay, because we do want a study group. In addition to that, once we've already completed the study on Wednesday, the study class on Wednesday, questions that I have or whatever should be cleared up because once you dissected the way you did, like how everybody gets to answer, because you need to know different viewpoints, right? Once you dissect it like that, I feel like I'm confident enough to go into the exam and sit comfortably. But just is a lot of information. It's really a lot of information.
Right, it is, and that's what that's why I'm specifically saying do not come next on Wednesday with extra stuff. Okay, and then do not get offended when Miss Bullock say no points. I mean, people is be upset. People is come with a whole PowerPoint. No, we don't want extra information. We don't need a PowerPoint. We need 10 relevant points. Okay, and you all will be fine. But
Okay, ma'am.
no
Just,
information overload.
just curious, like what's the past, like, in previous classes, the success rate on this course? Like, it's been good?
Yeah, like I said, if you listen, if you come to class and you pay attention, everything that I say is on the exam, and persons from intro can attest to that. There's no surprises. There's no we going south. Once you read the questions, each question probably have 3 parts. But once you read the question and you would have paid attention in class or listened to the recordings, it doesn't stray very far from the exact thing that we discussed. And again, I'm not testing memory, it's understanding. If you understand and you comprehend, you will be successful. If you don't understand and you try to just remember a lot of stuff, then it's going to be difficult for you. So comprehension would be learning grade 6. That's what it is. It isn't a remembering thing.
Do you mark the exam?
Yeah, I do. I let the cross marker mark first, and then I mark last. So, because sometimes we have to debate on points. So I like to be able to say, no, this person, this is what they meant, and we discussed this and what happened. Please, and then I'll give you some more rules of taking the exam at the Institute next week. Yeah, please print, no cursive, all this funny pretty writing that we can't read. Yeah, please print, let your hand rest. I hope some of you already have your study leave, or you would have scheduled some time, get some breakfast, start to call Miss Dean this week, because like I said, this is a big group. I think it should be about 23 persons. Some will have to take it at 9 a.m. and some will have to take it at 12 or 9:30 or 12:30. So please call Miss Dean this week and schedule your time for the exam. Okay?
Where do you park, Miss Bullock? Because parking is difficult around there.
No, across the street in there's this Graham Thompson parking lot. It's directly opposite the hospital on Victoria Avenue.
Directly
where?
opposite the hospital.
Yeah. Okay, you know where Victoria Avenue is?
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, that parking lot right there. Yeah. And then you walk around the building or through, and you should be fine.
Okay.
Okay.
If I'm in the area this week as well, for anyone that may need it, that isn't familiar with the parking, I'm supposed to be scheduled in the area. I'll try to drop the pin of the parking lot. Because you literally just walk through once you park in the parking lot, you can walk through the little alley, you come through the door, to the main road to get upstairs to Bears. So I'll try to remember to drop the pin when I go in the area this week.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you. All right. Okay, good. So is there anybody that do not have grades at this point?
Will I get my 5% for the civil organization?
Yes, I did. Let me check. Everybody who's on this list is Tennille, Jasmine, Odia, Crystal, Lee, Mikhail, Cameron, Justine, Renika, Jade, Owen, Gwen. Quinette is gonna go right now, and Felicia.
Miss
Did I
Willard,
get that?
Whatever I shared before,
Who is this, Felicia?
Miss Fuller,
Yes.
this is Donna.
Okay, did you go to the civic organization, Donna? Did you go to Toastmasters, Rotary, or one of
I
those
didn't go
groups?
physically, but I was online. I went on the
Sorry,
Zoom.
you went on the
I
Zoom?
didn't go. Yeah, okay, I didn't go physically, but yes, I was on the Zoom.
Okay, did you share with the class?
No, I didn't share that portion
Okay.
of it with the class.
Right, so
But I
you,
shared the newspaper portion of it.
no, it's not the
Um,
newspaper, it's not the newspaper, it's, yeah, for 5% for participation, you share the newspaper. For the additional 5%, then you have to go to
uh-huh.
Toastmasters, Rotary, or like Felicia went to a compliance meeting and she shared. Okay, you don't get the 5% if you don't share with the class. Do you want to share with the class right now so you can get your 5%?
I hope I remember what it's all about. It was something to do with some type of pain or something like that. That's the same time I was sick, and I went on, but I don't remember exactly all the stuff they said.
Okay, but see,
I
Donna,
can't
that's why
remember.
you're not on the list because you didn't share with the class. You would have had to come and share with the class. Okay?
Okay.
And in terms of, yeah, I say I still have that in limbo. Do you want me? That's going to be your graded one.
I said you the one that I
A
wanted
final
to grade.
version,
The
a final
final.
version. You want the final version mark?
I can resend it again for you so you could
No, I have it. I have the one that says final version. In fact, the cross marker has it just waiting.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
Just as a point of
Okay.
information, there's Rotary and both Rotary and Toastmasters on Tuesday. So I don't know if she want to attend them and then contribute.
no,
on
this is it.
Wednesday.
That's it. This is it. Remember, this was the last class for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Remember, we talked extensively last week, and persons were still sending me stuff late. So that's it. Everybody has their grades. Okay, good. No response. Okay, good. Quinette, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. I attended a Toastmasters meeting on Thursday. The topic was thriving beyond your expectations. And the word of the day was flux. Flux means the process of flowing or overflow. The meeting was a bit of a snooze fest. However, as it went on, I started to enjoy it. And one speech stuck out to me, and the speech was about planning ahead of time. And everybody knows the quote, fail to plan to fail. And I didn't have this quote in a long time, but the quote stuck out to me because it's important, because oftentimes we do not plan, whether it may be with our time, budgeting, studying or anything of that sort. And it made me think about how many of us allow our lack of discipline to override our priorities. And I didn't know how this speech correlated with the topic. However, I sometimes have problems with planning my time out with my time management. And to be honest with you, when I do some things, it's all jumbled up at times. So with that being said, I took that topic and kind of like put it together and said that managing my time is thriving beyond my expectations. All done.
Okay, okay, great. It's good that, you know, there was awareness and you made some adjustments. So, okay, very, very good. Very good. Okay, guys, well, we're at our last and final chapter, and you did it. And the same time that you called Miss Dean to make your appointment for the exam, you can also register for ICA if you know you're on this journey. That would be the next step. And so if you are interested, there are payment plans, and Ms. Dean works with everybody who's interested to try, you know, to place them in the program. But well done. You made it to the end, you know, and next week is just review. So by now, today, Ms. Bullard should have nothing to say about chapter 10. Each of you should have read chapter 10 and can give some good information on what chapter 10 is about. So get your books out, and if you have not read it, we're going to go down the list and we're going to give everybody the opportunity to tell us what chapter 10 is about. Okay, Felicia, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to clarify, in reference to the ICA, are there, besides taking the intro and then the intermediate, don't you need work hours? Like, not work hours. Oh, what's the word I'm trying to say? Like, don't you need like, isn't there a qualifier? Like how long you've been in the particular field?
Right, right. So there are prerequisites. So Miss Ian will perhaps ask you for a transcript if she doesn't have it already, and she will let you know what is needed for you to get into the ICA.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Right. Okay, Quinette, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I see there is also a course for the Cayman board, I think, if I read it correctly.
Right. So ICA has many courses. What the Institute facilitates is governance, risk, and compliance, and AML. Now, at one point, we did facilitate the gaming, but the numbers weren't sufficient because you know it's distance learning, and they have I guess a number of criteria. You could ask Ms. Dean if you know they can facilitate it, or because I don't think you can do the, you know, if you're disciplined enough to just read the book, you could get that specific designation. But most persons fall under the AML, governance, risk, and compliance, you know, and they join that section. But if you want to specifically, we have had persons that did specifically the gaming on their own, you know, and they, you know, just hired a tutor. So you could speak to Ms. Dean. Ms. Dean will be able to tell you how to go about that route if that's what you're interested in.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. And also, yes, I could talk to you after class, please.
Sure. When everybody else signs on, off, you could just stay on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Gwen?
So when does the ICA classes start and how long is it usually?
Okay, so each side is 9 months. So it's 9 months of AML and 9 months of governance, risk, and compliance. Now, the cohort that's on now would have started in January. So they would have been doing AML. Governance, risk, and compliance should start in September or October. But normally, Ms. Dean encourages persons to start, they feel that the AML section is a bit easier. So they encourage you to start in January with AML and then go into the governance, risk, and compliance in September. But if you feel that you could start off with the governance, risk, and compliance, then you can join the cohort in, I guess, October, and then you may, have classes for both sides. Some persons have done that. If you can handle it, then you can, but it's up to you. But like I said, Ms. Dean will advise you.
So you
So
recommend
it-
we start in January then?
Yeah, I recommend
Yeah,
start
I was-
together, to stay with the group, and so there's no double booking of classes, and because there's 3 papers due, 3,500 words each on the AML side and 3 papers on the governance, risk, and compliance side, and you don't want 2 papers due at the same time because you in the 2, so it's best to stick together and continue to work with the persons in your group, for support. And those exams are marked in London, and the Brits are very meticulous. So this is why I try to tell you, you have to do it their way, right down to the referencing. That's why I share the referencing book with you, because persons have lost 20 to 30% just off of not referencing properly or not saying according to the Nassau Guardian and citing the way they said you should cite the information. Definitely, I noticed across many of my classes, a lot of you still do not know how to write an essay. Okay, and that's fine, because we would have graduated 25 years ago, or we haven't been to a class for a very long time, and so we need a refresher. Please, in the interim, take college English. If you take college English, that will teach you how to, write a proper essay, cite properly, the different essay formats, MLA and APA. You really need to know that before you go into ICA, because I'm telling you right down to formatting, they tell you what font you should use. And in terms of referencing, there's a system called Turton or something like that, where you upload your paper. Once you would have uploaded your paper, it tells you 25% was taken from the Nassau Guardian, 10% was taken from this source, 5% came from there. If you get a 50%, you fail. So it has to be in your own words. And what I noticed too, with the persons who did the homework, obviously you're working together, because 5 of y'all write me the same essay. All right. And so what happens in Turton, they say Owen's essay came in first. So y'all are the 4 people. This information was taken from Owen's essay. Y'all failed. Okay, so that's what I saw. So please, like I say, take English. Because people sending me essays in an email, unacceptable. People asking me what format, and no, this is not English. Okay, so you will find it beneficial, because the Brits, you could have very good information. You could fail just off a format.
One question, like how you suggesting we take the class in January. The only disadvantage to that is us losing the information and not really being able to remember for January with the long break from now until then.
No, then Owen, you don't understand. You remember. Remember, we don't want memory. We want comprehension. If you understand, when you open your intermediate and intro book in January, you will have a refresher. Or when the lecturer starts to talk about a topic, remember I said, keep your library. Keep it in order. Don't be like Miss Bullet, who's have to dig up for 2 days to find something. Keep it organized and keep it in order, because all of this would help. In fact, we have 2 people out of ICA who had college degrees recently and felt that they didn't need to take intro, day in intro and in ICA. In fact, I think somebody in this class too. Okay, and then a lot of times persons come and say, can we purchase an intermediate or intro book? Or they have to refer back to it. So like I said, if you keep your library and you comprehend, you will be okay. not remember. It's a big difference. A lot of us have good memories, but we do not understand. And it comes out in your essay because you cannot explain. And if you can't explain, you can't make a decision, right? Or a good decision, I should say. Okay, so somebody is asking, what is the difference between CAMS and ICA? CAMS is US and ICA is Europe or UK. Okay, ICA is much more extensive and it's a little bit more work, but it's way more in depth than the CAMS. Now, the regulators accept both right now, but I was told, I was in a meeting where they discussed that because CAMS is so geared towards US rules, and we only have one US bank, I think it's Citibank. We still have persons coming into ICA who would have taken CAMS. And there are various certificates that persons say, oh, I could just do the short 6-month certificates. And it may look good on your resume, but you will be deficient and then find out that you still have to come back over to ICA. So those US rules and all of they ain't really relevant for us. We are common law, the UK is common law, and so basically it's better. I say it's better to take the
ICA one time.
ICA one time and get it over with, do it properly. I have had 2 persons who did CAMS who came over to intro, and they were astounded. They was like, oh my God, I don't know any of this. And I see why I don't understand nothing that's going on at work. With intro, with ICA also, it's UK based, but when it comes to the various laws that you need to know, we don't teach UK law, we teach Bahamian law. At ACAMS, they just teach US law. And so you're stuck with a bunch of US law that's no relevance. Then you still have to go on your own and research the Bahamian law. When you get the ICA, they tell you, choose a jurisdiction of your choice. Of course, you're going to choose the Bahamas because you would be most familiar. And you would have been taught the Bahamian law, not the UK law. So that's the difference there, where you get more information that is relevant to your jurisdiction.
Could we do ICA and CAMS?
You can if you want to. But what I found that in terms of like webinars and seminars and information online, CAMS is way better at that, right? But so, I have ICA, but I'm a part of the, I follow them and I get all the information and webinars and I get their information, but I can localize it. Most persons can't, because I am familiar with writing policy and procedure. And I'm going to do the research to get the Bahamian information. Most people don't, and so it's difficult. So that's why I'm saying that I prefer ICA, where you get the Bahamian information that's relevant to you right up front. You don't need all those US laws in your head. They have no relevance to you. But it's, like I say, whichever you decide. But we have had some organizations where they have hired MLROs that had CAMS and just could not function. And they had 2 years to complete the ICA. So it's really up to you. Okay, it's just like the Securities Commission, the Series 7 and the Canadian Securities. We have like 3 or 4 Canadian banks, but you can't work like the Series 7 is way more extensive than Canadian Securities is easier to pass. But if you don't work in a Canadian bank, it's not accepted. Whereas the Series 7 is accepted, UK bank, Canadian bank, US bank, what have you. So watered down version versus the full gamut. That's what I say. That's just my opinion. More work, a little bit more expensive, but more value. So do it right the first time away. right?
Noted. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Noted.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Chapter 10. All of you, I sure read chapter 10. All of us know what chapter 10 says. Who
Hey,
wants to start?
I can start. I start with the class. Wait, the class will tell us we get to find a job description for a new compliance at MLRO. And I don't know where to start with that.
Now, Owen,
Yes,
where,
ma'am.
where this was a question I got yesterday. Where do you find job descriptions, Owen? Tell me.
In the HR department.
No, sir. We don't work in no HR department. What you
Okay.
read every day?
The newspaper.
What does the newspaper say when they want to hire somebody?
Oh, I didn't think about that. Okay.
Anybody else? Come on. It was just Owen who would think about it, or who else? Just let me know so I can know where to start.
Miss Bill, in all honesty, I did not have time to read, so I just waiting to take notes.
You better read fast there, Jasper, because you next after Owen. Okay, Owen. So a job description. So of course we go to tribune242.com and we look up the various job descriptions. And so sometimes they're not online, but they are in the business section. Or let's go to LinkedIn, eh? Where else? All over the internet, Owen, right?
I can
Okay.
send a job description in the group.
Sorry?
I'm saying I can send a job description for MLRO in the group.
Yes, please send it in the group. And this is what you want to look at. And this is just like audit. Whatever they say, you want to make sure that your resume matches to what they say. Now, we ain't saying just put anything on your resume. But if they say you need 5 years of experience and you have that, make sure that stands out. If they say you need ICA and you have that, make sure that stands out, or you will now be completing intermediate. You will put currently enrolled in intermediate ICA at BIFS, expected graduation date, and you say whichever the graduation date is. Okay, so this is what you want to ensure that you match the criteria. Your skills and your educational background match what they are asking for. Okay, so the key to this question is compliance wears many hats, right? And it has gotten so bad that the Securities Commission has put in law or in one of their guidelines. I think they have rules. The Securities Commission has rules. They put in one of the rules is that the compliance officer and MLRO can only hold that position. Okay, and they had to put it in as a rule because there was an ad in the paper the other day that said we're looking for a compliance officer, MLRO, risk, corporate governance, lawyer. Okay, so that's 4 different positions. That person won't be effective because they will be overwhelmed. Even if that place had 50 customers. Okay, if you have 5 customers, then perhaps you can be 1 or 2 of those positions, but you can't be the 5. Okay, and another issue with that is there's no proper segregation of duties. So if legal and compliance need to sign, that's the same person. If legal and corporate administrator need to sign, that's the same person. If risk and compliance need to sign, that's the same person. Okay, and so we have seen a lot of that happening in institutions, excuse me, because these companies just simply don't want to spend money. Or what we've seen happening is that they hire one senior person and we can give you an assistant, but then you do all of it. No, you're still overwhelmed, still no proper segregation of duties. And I always tell the story is we went into one of these Fortune 500 companies, one of the big banks, to audit their compliance department. When we walked in, they said, go see Owen for all the compliance information. Then we said we need some information from legal. Go see Owen. We say, okay, we need to see your corporate secretary. Go see Owen. We said, is Owen the coordinator of the audit? I mean, you know, why he would have all this information? Because I said we actually need to interview the managers of these departments. They said, oh yeah, Owen is the manager of risk, compliance, corporate governance, all these stuff. We said, oh no. And that was just our first day. And just, we normally have an opening meeting, and we said, oh, Owen is going to have to be relieved of 3 of these 4 functions. We said, we are stopping this audit and we are giving you 3 weeks to hire or replace Owen with 3. He needs 3 seniors along with himself. Now, if you want him to be the overall manager, we would need you then to, you know, change his job description. And we literally stopped the audit and came back in 3 weeks. Okay, so they had promoted 2 persons and they had hired 1 person from the outside. And then we commenced the audit because, oh, there was no way Owen could be effective. He just simply wore too many hats. Okay, and we even left criteria and saying at a certain level, a certain number of years, you don't hire no assistants, or you need senior persons in each of these positions. Okay, and so like I said, years of this has been happening, and so the Securities Commission actually put it into one of their rules. And if you are hired and you find yourself in this position, you have to go to the law or the guidelines of the regulator and show them, because like I say, compliance makes no money for the business, so they really hate to invest. Go ahead, Felicia. Felicia,
Sorry,
you got
that
a
was a
question?
mistake. No,
Oh,
ma'am,
okay.
sorry, that was a mistake.
Yeah, okay, so you want to look at the job description to make sure that there's adequate staffing. When you go on these interviews, you are asked, is your, you know, when they ask you, do you have any questions for us? Primarily, is your organization high, medium, or low? How many staff members do you have? And, you know, stuff like that, because of course, you know, if it's primarily high and we deal with Venezuela and Russia, that's enhanced due diligence. So it's way more work. So you need to have way more staff. And so you really need to get some information on the metrics of the company. How many customers do you have? Primarily high, medium, or low. Of course, they say, oh, everybody is low. And then when you walk in and you start to do reviews, you find like everybody's high. That's what happens. And then you find that everybody, you know, nobody wants to do their job in terms of, you know, risk assessments. They feel like it's compliance job. Many companies did not hire a risk manager when the risk assessments were made mandatory. They just dropped that on compliance. And so really, even in the compliance department, you should have somebody dealing with AML, which opens accounts, looks at all the triggers, and, you know, daily questions, because, you know, from 12 o'clock, I used to say between 9 and 12, I'm going to answer questions. And persons would come from credit and saying, Ms. Bullitt, I said, no, you have to come with some background information. Ms. Bullitt isn't going to do research on credit and tell you how to do your job. You need to do your own research. And then from the compliance aspect, you know, I will let you know, or I will give you some input. But you really have to train persons to, you know, on how to do their job. And so AML, looking at all the publications and any information that needs to be disseminated, and then training. So that's your AML person. There has to be a regulatory compliance, somebody who liaises with the regulators, who sends all the deliverables, who reviews policy and procedure. There are 200-word surveys. There are all sorts of issues, regulatory that are regulatory deadlines that have to be met. That person should be the compliance officer, and whomever is the head of the department should be the MLRO, who, you know, will file the suspicious transactions and do the investigations and what have you. But like I said, you need somebody for AML, somebody for compliance, and then somebody for regulatory issues. And then if then there has to be a separate risk person, and definitely a separate corporate administrator, and definitely a separate legal person. Okay, like I say, if the company has 5 clients, then you can be compliance and legal. And I see a lot of persons, a lot of companies saying, I want to hire a compliance officer with a legal background, or I want to hire a compliance officer with a CPA. That's because they want you to do compliance and the accounting work, or they want you to do compliance and legal work. Okay, so you'll be overwhelmed. Trust me, if they have like more than 100 clients. So make sure that you are not taking on too much, because you will become ineffective with making sure the entire organization is compliant. Okay, so Owen, that's where that question stems from. What else does the question say? Owen still there, where he going? Miss Bullet run on too long, Owen going. Okay, and is that clear? Anybody else who listening out there, you all understand? since Owen left.
Miss Fuller, can I ask a quick question, please?
Yes, go ahead.
When it comes to like, you're talking about the deviation of tasks and things of that nature.
You are a bit cloudy, I can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, that's better.
When it comes to the deviation of tasks, for example, if you're saying that if someone's dealing with AML, or if someone's dealing with CDOC, or someone's dealing with legal in terms of that nature, is there a rubric given by the central bank that says that? Because I realize in our organization, we have limited people. So I find that some people will be a chairperson here, and then there'll be a VP of this or something of the sort. And I'm wondering if they're following a guideline, because they will end up giving people positions that don't even make sense. And I'm thinking they're just doing that to make the coverage when they don't have the people. So is that something that's given by the central bank? Like there's a specific rule that says you can't have a certain amount of portfolios under you?
Well, there's no rubric or anything. What you have to do to ensure that the organization is compliant is adequately distribute clients. And so normally you should have seniors and juniors. What I find nowadays is that compliance knows the customers better than the account officers. And so if you work in the offshore world, if you are a senior, the seniors should have all the high risk accounts to start with. Seniors should have about 50 to 60 high risk accounts. Juniors should have 100 accounts with no more than 2 to 5 high risk accounts. Okay, and they're only managing those high risk accounts for practice, because eventually they should be trained up to be seniors, right? And so very operational accounts and high risk accounts should be with seniors, and the other one should be with juniors. So it should be 50 or 60, and then 100 is like reasonable, and not 100 very operational accounts for juniors. You have to distribute them. A very good structure to put in place is again by jurisdiction. This is the Asian desk, this is the European desk, this is the Latin American desk. Or you will find that it's very hard to pick up patterns, and determine if these people are being suspicious, or if this is just a part of their culture or not. So a lot of organizations don't like to put structure in place. They like to work in chaos. They don't want anybody to have the upper hand over them. And so all of these are reasons why, the structure, they put a generic box, and whoever answer first, answer. And so do you truly know your client? And will you truly be able to know 800 clients? No, you won't. But you could get to know 100. You definitely could get to know 50, So it just depends on your company, the type of clients they have, if they're operational, and the structure is important. But I am telling you, the exact structure, they stray away from structure. And they go with a divide and conquer sort of mindset.
That's very true. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Okay, so governance and leadership. Owen, who tell me was Gustavo? Owen, you reach back yet?
Yes, I am. My
Okay.
apologies.
What happened? You fall asleep?
No. I say my apologies.
Oh, okay.
I
cool.
was saying, the first thing I was thinking about was the when they talk about the script describing the job description, and I was trying to figure out. I know you could go online and search for these things. I was thinking that we had to really, from what we know, include stuff that we think would be needed for this position, and that's why I found the challenge. But I can understand the rest of the information in the book.
Okay, and who was it? Jade said that she was gonna post one. Somebody said that they was gonna post one.
It's already in the group. It's in the
It's
group.
already in the group. Okay, good.
Yes.
And so you'll see what the 5 years of experience, ICA, and various criteria that you should meet. Okay. The book goes on to talk about the senior management responsibility is to create a system of internal controls that effectively manage risk, including compliance risk. And senior management must understand its responsibility in managing a company's money laundering risk. Okay, so of course, you know, the board, we would have learned this in intro, the board is ultimately responsible, and persons still get this wrong, for the compliance framework. The board only meets 4 times a year, and so they delegate their responsibilities to senior management. When they come in for their meetings, then senior management makes a presentation to them. This is what happens in the quarter. Even though they delegate that responsibility, they are still accountable. Okay, you can share responsibility, you can't share accountability. So if anything goes wrong, it's the board. Okay, there are a lot of outsourcing or arrangements where in tasks or functions are outsourced. And back in the day when I was at Royal, Bahamas used to be the hub for you know, operations. We had like 500 persons in our operation center. Our salaries were 3 times as much as Trinidad and the DR. So what we saw over the last 10 years is that all sorts of functions would have been outsourced, either the DR or the Trinidad or to Cayman. And what we learned is that I don't know what type of language people in Cayman speak, but in our operation center, they just did not speak English. I don't, it was English, but there were thousands and thousands and thousands of deficiencies and corrections and errors, and that's where Royal Bank started to lose, you know, the service that they provided the customers. We got millions and millions of complaints. After that, we then sold to Trinidad, and of course, you know, what I say is, if you don't have a seat at the table, you don't make the decisions. And so most of the functions were transferred out to Trinidad, and it was just not good for Bahamian culture. So, you know, I rant and rave about Royal Bank being the best. They were very good to me, and we did try our best to give good customer service back in the early 2000s, but now it's a complete disaster. The culture has changed. It's their no, you know, their mission is we're earning the right to be the customer's first choice, but they are not. And just like in Enron, when Enron failed and Master Stewart was found out, they found that Enron had just written a bunch of baseless statements that had no value and no meaning. And that is what attributed to the company failing or having that big insider trading ring that took Master Stewart to jail. And I think if we or the regulators, or when they start to pay attention to these mission statements, they will find that a lot of these companies in Nassau, in the Bahamas, just simply have baseless statements as well, because Royal Bank definitely no longer earning that right. Okay, and what I've seen is that a lot of the the top position, the CEOs, they are from Trinidad or from Jamaica, and coincidentally, they are outsourcing. I'm talking about left, right, and center. A lot of branches have shut down. A lot of Bahamians have gone home. And I always say, if you don't have a seat at the table, you just don't make the decision. And so it's very difficult to find a job right now. So imagine leaving your country for 10 years and going to be a CEO at another country and then having to go back home. And to me, and this is just my personal opinion, to me, what these execs are doing is they're outsourcing all the work to their country. And so when they reach back, their resume can say, I brought $10 million worth of business into Trinidad, I did $10 million of business into Jamaica, you know, and so we are being robbed of all these functions. And in the name of operational efficiency and cheap labor, and being cut down left, right, and center. And so, you know, I had an exit interview with the central bank a few months ago, and I asked them, why is this allowed? Why is the central bank approving all of these outsourcing? And we have seen the net effect. And you know, they said, oh, that's something to take to the associations and let the associations fight, you know, because when they outsource these things, you know, we lose jobs, we lose a lot of revenue. And like I said, the quality of work and the level of service. I mean, at one point, Royal Bank put their technology department in India and nobody could even understand what they were saying. I mean, there was just a language barrier. And I think 2 or 3 years later, Scotia was planning to do the same thing. I was like, this is crazy. Didn't y'all see that it didn't work at Royal? Why, you know, why would we do this? But again, this is what the expats do. They come here and they secure their position for when they leave. Okay, Quintet, you want to say something?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. When I was employed at Royal Bank, that is so very true. Their tech support team is located in India, and when I couldn't sign on my computer, I think me and this guy was on the phone for about 4 hours because I couldn't understand what he was saying. He couldn't understand what I was saying. And even when we had meetings and trainings, Trinidadians was always the ones to host the meeting. I don't think I've ever been to a meeting where Bahamian hosted it. And if you call Royal Bank for anything, the first place you would get connected to a Trinidadian before you get connected to a Bahamian. And that's kind of weird because I did ask my manager why I can't understand what the Trinidadian lady was saying inside the training. So I had to come out of the training. I really couldn't understand her, and I couldn't understand the Indian guy either. So I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, and like I say, in the name of operational efficiency, how this could be better operations if you can't even understand what the people saying, and when there's a complaint, they don't understand what you're telling them how to fix the customer account. It's just ludicrous. But like I said, no seat at the table, you get left behind. Go ahead, Jasmine.
I'm pretty sure I experienced at Scotiabank. I had a problem with my account one time. And I call and I can't tell you where the person answer from. But you know how frustrating it is. I on my job, I cannot leave. And I'm having a problem with my account and I can't get any solution because I can't understand the person. I don't see where they think that makes sense.
It don't make sense, but there's an ulterior motive, right? That CEO have to go back to Jamaica or back to India or back to Trinidad, and so therefore they're making sure they straight. No matter how bad the service is, they turn a blind eye, and they constantly, you know, promoting work for their country. They smart, be dumb, because
But I
we
tell you
allowing it.
this, that caused me
We
close up
allowing it.
my account with Scotia because I thought that was very ridiculous, and it wasn't just one time. Several times I had a problem with it, so I had to close my account up with them. That was foolishness.
Yep, and a lot of these, I won't call it a company, but some of them are share banks, because when I was a manager at Royal Bank, my approval limit was unlimited, right? I can approve for any amount. In the Bahamas, there's one particular organization, Fortune 500 company that's been around for many years. Nobody has an approval limit. Everything has to be approved in Jamaica. So if you only can approve $5,000, you ain't in charge.
Crazy.
Use the face. Okay? If $10,000 have to be approved in Jamaica, they in charge. You just the face to pass on the message. And they have these systems in place for you to upload all the system. I mean, upload all the application, upload everything. Every decision is made there. Nothing is made here. So they in charge, not us. Okay, so it's called outsourcing. Be very careful of that. And some of y'all need to get into the top position to save the Bahamas. Because like I said, banking used to be 20% of GDP. We lost 17%. It's now 3%. And I had an opportunity. I think Chicago was on our board. So, you know, our water cooler conversation was, I was like, Chicago line. So is banking still our second industry if we've lost 17% GDP? He said, yes, it is. There's nothing else right now. So it's going to come back. I said, how are we left, right, and center outsourcing? And then this pandemic. He said, well, we're looking into it and the government is doing this and blah, 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 whatever. But we've lost a lot, 17%. This was prior to the pandemic. Okay, so be cognizant of that. Be cognizant of the net effect is that Royal Bank was around from 108 years, I think, 1908. And I've never seen, until we were outbought by Trinidad, branches closed down at Royal Bank. Okay, and 500 people go home and stuff like that. Okay, and replaced with Trinidad. Finco used to have 129 employees. They have 29 doing the same function. Okay, none of the customers were lost. None of the accounts closed out. How do you move from 100 people, 129 persons doing a job to 29 persons doing a job? And we could see the lines at Royal Bank. We could see the level of service. We could see what that has done. Okay, so get to the top position and you will make the top decisions. If not, we will continue to see all our functions being taken out of the country. Okay, in the name of bad service. And what people say is those banks in the Bahamas, they really don't know what they're doing. It ain't us. It's the people who answer the phone. It's the artificial intelligence. It's the decision makers. Okay.
But
So
Ms.
just
Bullard,
keep it going.
so do you really think with us Bahamians getting to the top, it makes a difference in the decision that these big banks make? Because I mean, I know for a fact, the institution that I work for, like we went through a lot of changes as well. Now we have a lot of our functions or the call centers, they're being routed to the Dominican Republic. So as Jasmine said, when you call, you don't understand what they're saying. So my question is, you know, do you think we really, really have a voice when we're at the table, or we're just there to be the puppet, to just take commands and do what is said? Because, you know, we had a lot of branches that are closing as well in the name of technology. Like they're making it these internet centers or centers where you just go and get advice and solutions. Like there's no cash transactions. You just go into book loans and stuff. And then we can even book loans online. You know, they give you pre-approved limits. So like you said, the future of banking is scary because it isn't what it used to be. And so I am wondering if it even makes sense to even try to continue to climb the ladder in banking, like really, you know, because having been in it for the past 20 some years, it's like, you know, what's going on? Like, what do I do next?
Yeah, but
don't making sense.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't get stagnant because your qualifications will be relevant to other industries. And like I say, you know, a lot of people cringe when I say this with marijuana. In fact, I was on interviewed with the central bank and they asked me what I thought about the marijuana being approved. I said, I think it's a good thing. I think it's our next industry. And with the qualifications I have now, I could go read the agricultural laws and make sure that it works. And they say, what would be the biggest challenge? I say, well, right now, all the mangoes and canaps and dillies being stolen, and there are no laws to protect them, and the people out there crying saying their crops or their sheep are stolen. And so I can imagine the type of security you'd need on a marijuana field. You know what I mean? Really, you would stop these boys from going and picking the plant and just smoking. Like, how you would control that? Security you need to be there 24 hours a day. So don't let it discourage you, Gwen. Keep climbing the ladder. Think about it. If you were the CEO and they come up with these plans, oh, I'm going to save the bank $10 million by outsourcing this product or this service to Dominican Republic. What would you say, Gwen? You will find a solution, right?
I'm gonna try and find a solution, but
And
the
you will
reason that
you will
Sorry,
shut
the
that down before
I
I
would,
go.
but it's only so much delaying that you can do, because then
Yeah, but nobody's shutting it
automatically they
down,
come
Gwen.
back.
Gwen,
Sorry?
nobody's shutting it down. Let's look at Scotiabank.
Mhm.
Where was the last CEO from?
The being had one from here since Tony Allen.
Okay, then
Like
thank you.
yes, like
And
yes and yes.
and look at the amount of things that has been outsourced and the amount of branches that is
Yeah.
closed down.
Yeah.
Okay, only affecting the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Okay, so I from Trinidad. If I ain't going to Trinidad, I go into DR because my name is well known. Okay, after this 10 years and I gotta go home, I straight. Because my name is well known. I bring so much money into this country and I put that on my resume. So you, as a Bahamian, will shut that down. You will find a way. You will say we can reduce hours, but Bahamians will still have jobs. We can do this, but the banks, the branches won't close down. All they know is that they got to get that function into Trinidad or DR. That's all they know. And so they can make that look so good. And unless we have somebody on the our side saying no, it doesn't make no sense, explaining that there's a language barrier, fighting. If you have no seat at the table, nobody's speaking on your behalf, and that's what they're taking advantage of.
But then when you start speaking up, they phase you out. So that's another story. Conversation for another day.
Okay. No, but again, this is what the book goes on to talk about: values and ethics. Okay, and we can no longer turn a blind eye. Okay, last class or the class before, somebody raised their hand and they said, Miss Bullitt, I work the ghost shift inside the casino. And at 3 a.m. when these poker games going on, I see these girls that are non-coherent. I told you all that story, right?
No, I don't recall that story.
Okay, so
No, don't recall that one.
This is what he said. He said, I see these girls that are non-coherent. And I don't know if they're trafficked or what have you. I said, but this is why you're here. You are to file a suspicious transaction report and drop it off to your manager or to your MLRO and let them investigate, okay? To find out what's happening in that casino at 3 a.m. He said, boy, it ain't my business, and Miss Bullitt, I'm gonna lose my job, and I ain't getting mixed up in that, and you don't know who connected to who, okay? And so because of all these reasons, this is why people don't report. Okay, and so we work and live in turmoil our entire career because we are too afraid, and this is why the people get away with it. Okay, so we need more ethical persons in positions who are not afraid. Okay, and like I said, corporate Bahamas is very, very vicious and very cruel, and they will face you out. Okay, and this is why I'm saying before you start to blow the whistle, because this talks about whistleblowing, have your revenue streams updated, have at least 5 revenue streams. And so you are not dependent on this 9-to-5 job to pay your mortgage, to feed your children, to do all this stuff. Okay? And this is the only way I know. I mean, you could probably talk to somebody else. right? But they will face you out and you will be victimized. But if it's enough persons that have good work ethic and have integrity, then you don't have to live in turmoil your entire career. But if we continue to turn a blind eye, we get phased out anyway because your job could be in Trinidad. And unless you plan to move there, you could still have a problem. Okay, so ethics, integrity. What type of culture are we developing? They say the fish rots from the top. Okay, so if you have a CEO that's not does not care about policy, does not care about procedure, we always have a workaround for this and workaround for that. You will be surprised as a net effect. We had a manager one time in our private banking department. Oh, I'll put a waiver. We told her, okay, so we understand you could put a waiver on this client's file for this reference letter. What we tell her that for? The next time we went and checked the files 1 year later, she had a waiver on 500 client files. Okay, so you want to be careful of the culture that you develop, and everybody who she trained under her had put those waivers on their file rather than reaching out to the customer because it was just easier to do that. Okay, and it was just easier for her to check the box and say, yeah, I satisfy this requirement. Okay, so be very careful what culture you develop in your organization, because once that starts, it's very, very hard to change. Very hard to change. Okay, when you start to develop a culture of non-compliance and turning a blind eye, everybody turns a blind eye, and then we feel the net effect. So now is the time to act, because if we don't act, we can lose anyway. That's how I look at it. The bank's closing down anyway. If we care about being phased out, create an organization or an association. I mean, not a union, but something where we have a good compliance culture, we set a good tone. All the new people coming in, they respect compliance, they respect us, they work with us, they are risk aware, they care, they make a difference, and we start to rule out all these or weed out all these bad apples, because in the end we still won't have jobs anyway. Okay, we won't have jobs anyway because these people don't satisfy with once they get away with something. It's just like a thief, like stealing is a disease. Once they start to steal, they don't stop until they get caught. And if they get slapped on the wrist until they get help, they continue to steal. So be very careful what culture is set in your organization. And you see those organizations that have that culture of non-compliance and slaps on the wrist, and people get, away with these things. They suffer anyway. Okay, so that's important as well. So you lose anyway. So at least go with God on your side, knowing that He provides, and that I would have learned that I have a little car wash on the corner. I have some shares in a boat. I teach part-time. And so when I lose this 9 to 5, I have apartments on rent. When I lose this 9 to 5, in nothing to, I don't have to lose my integrity as well. Okay. And that's how wide, my investments are. I'm a licensed mortician. I have shares in a boat. I have rental income, and I teach part-time. And normally I have a 9 to 5. So they make it take away my 9 to 5, and it has been taken away. That the same CEO that was removed for taking the people $4 million, I was let go. But it didn't matter because I had sufficient other revenue streams. Okay, and then when they let me go the next day, I was working at the funeral. It's my first degree is in mortuary science. I never stopped teaching for the last 7 years.
Miss
Okay.
Bullet say what? Mortuary science? That's what you just said?
Miss Bullet is a licensed mortician.
Wow.
Yep.
Don't make your money then.
Okay. So my integrity always is intact. Okay. When the chairman came and said, I need this $4 million, first he came for, his business partner came for 250,000. And I kept saying, absolutely not. Then he came for 4 million because they gave him the 250,000. And so I wouldn't stop talking about it. And I say, the regulator's gonna have to know if this continues. Oh, I'm gonna pay it back, I'm gonna pay it back. Then he came for 4 million. Okay. And then audit picked it up. And then he was removed by the central bank. He tell the central bank they can't remove him. Then the Supreme Court had to remove him. They took his residency, they took his house, and sold his shares. And that's how they got the $4 million back. But that bank has had a bad reputation, and I was only hired to keep them open till they find a buyer. They found a buyer who was unscrupulous. But he would have still had those 4 million today if I close my eyes and say, I got to pay my mortgage. Is when they call me in the office, it was my birthday. They call me in the office on my birthday and say, Ms. Bullet, we no longer need you. We think, yeah, visions are outside of the strategy of the company. I said, okay. That was my birthday. My birthday was on a Thursday. On Saturday morning, I was in the church singing, hallelujah, salvation and glory, burying the dead. Okay? So that's the only way. Or you will be caught up going to jail, because that's what happens now. You go to jail. And remember, only poor people is go to jail. Okay? Y'all don't have no do seal money. Y'all, Wayne Monroe ain't even a lawyer no more. You go to jail. Go ahead, Felicia.
Sorry, it was just to piggyback on what you said, because this week, like you said, we're in audit and we had a forum in regards to, we had a situation where they were monitoring the calls of our bankers and all of the staff's lines are recorded. And they would have filed an internal, I don't want to say an STR, but I guess it would be like a suspicious, it was just a suspicious situation. And it transpired whereas they heard someone on a phone call making a particular statement and the keywords would have flagged it. And so my MLRO would have spoken to HR would have filed it with the MLRO, and then they just sideswiped the person by pulling them in the meeting and said, we listened to your calls, we saw this, that, and that go on, and we're going to put you on probation. And it brought back to the fact that even within the internal controls with ethics, now you have to be, this is such a thin line because you never know when someone's going to pick up on something, or if they see you somewhere or you post something even on social media, because that's what they went and did. They went and investigated and saw that the person was posting about potential business ventures. And it just so happens that by the grace of God, they weren't fired because they would have previously disclosed their intentions last year. So by them disclosing what their intentions were, and they basically saying that it doesn't conflict with the code of conduct, that's how come the person wasn't fired. But it was an interesting thing to see how it all transpired, because it's one thing for us to be all together laughing and joking on the lunchroom, but when something goes awry, they are quick to sideswipe you. And so you have to be able to bounce back and say you have other means. And one of the things that was also brought to attention was the fact that they were talking about, oh, you get paid well enough for you to not have to be corrupt. And in my mind, I'm like, corruption happens with anybody. You could be making $100,000, and if someone is greedy, they'll still be suspicious. So
Correct.
it definitely talks about that ethics thing was all throughout this week, because just how they pulled in the meeting, I was like, we just was giggling 2 minutes ago, and now they talking about they about to fire you just because they heard something on phone call. So it definitely, it's a real life thing.
Okay, and it is. And let me just let you know who fired me. My friend who called me and said, Bullet, I really need some help. Could you please help me keep this bank open? We can make a lot of money, please. Help me keep this bank open for central bank, please. I could pay you double whatever you make it now, please. And I went there and we kept the bank open and we got good bonuses and we got good pay and we was a team. Okay. And that day, like I say, on my birthday, she called me in and say, we no longer need your services because the chairman was stealing. And I kept saying, I'm not signing off. This is unacceptable. No, we cannot do this. Okay. So fast forward 2 years later, and this my friend who used to come to my house, pick up my children, want to go on vacation with me. Every time I go to Miami, send a, she have a list. She went to Italy. She had to bring my I have 5 kids. She brings 6 shirts, all sorts of souvenirs and all sorts of stuff. And then 2 years later, we were at a conference together. And 50 other people in this room, where does she come and sit? Right next to me. And I said, for the love of Jesus, God, I thank you that you saved me. I thank you, Lord. I just had to go in a prayer. She sat right next to me and she said, Bullet, how you doing? How the children?
You want to call yourself?
I just, and she's an older woman, and I did look at my shoe and I said, take your shoe off, beat in her head, and just lose your whole career. I sat there and
And
I
the security
said,
drag you home.
yeah, and she said, Bullet, I know you're upset, but girl, you were so right. Girl, if we could go to jail, look how he going to jail and look how they move him and take everything. And she was like, she was there, saying all these things. And I just sat there quietly trying to, gain my composure. And I was like, Lord, I just went in a warfare prayer. I said, Lord, in the name of Jesus, let the devil flee from me. I just had to go pray because I just could not believe it. She's like, Bullet, we don't have to be mad. We don't have to, but that same February, it was bonus time. She didn't give me my bonus. I had to fight them. Now all of a sudden I wasn't a manager no more. They wanted to give me 2 weeks pay. Managers just get a month pay for as long as you've been there. Or it was crazy. It was crazy. So I said, Lord, I thank you. But years ago, somebody taught me have these revenue streams. And so as I could invest here, like I said, even a car wash the other day, I had a friend, they was like, this person need clothes and help. And I went around looking for shoes for them. And, we helped them. I said, listen, Tom, I see a car wash on the corner. Would you could clean cars? I said, I could buy all the stuff and we can establish this car wash. Because I constantly looking for different things to make money. So especially in this compliance position, I am not compromised. Okay? So please, I beg you, this 9 to 5 is not it. Like Steve Harvey said, if you could bake cakes, bake cakes.
And of course, you have to remember that it has to not contradict your actual place of employment. Like it can't compete with it. Just follow your code of conduct and you should be fine.
Yep. Okay, so that's what happens about leadership and culture. And if we let these wicked people, convince us to do wrong, okay? And like I say, it becomes systemic. The entire company will do wrong. Okay, a lot of people looked up to me. If I say, okay, yeah, just let him take the money, and how are you gonna, even after they removed him, how are you gonna face those people? Jesus, Miss Bullet, you let him take the customer for $1 million, but you telling me to be compliant? Like how? So then and once you already lose, what do you call that? Once you don't lose your self-respect, nobody in that institution deals with you. Because we know we have some people who is thief in high positions and who is lie a lot, and nobody respects them. So if you wanna retain your self-respect and your good work ethic, you have to be honest. Okay, you can't turn a blind eye to these issues, because this is what your job is. Yes, it is very tough. Yes, you will be victimized. Yes, you could get fired, but you could also go to jail. So you choose. Okay. And so then the book goes on to talk about the role of the MLRO. Okay, the main responsibilities, of course, we know to receive the SDR, to evaluate, to determine whether internal SDRs have merit and should be reported, contribute to the AML training, cultivate an awareness of developing ML typologies, act without influence from senior management. And this is another thing that's very common now. They are saying as compliance, you report to the CEO, and as the MLRO, you report to the board, and the CEO is still on the board. So the regulators have been good with this, because you have to send your resume to and the organizational chart to be approved by the regulator. And I would have sent my organizational chart where I told them I cannot report to the CEO. They say, oh, it's just for administrative. We'll just put a dotted line. I say, okay, whatever y'all choose, because I was tired of arguing. Sent it on to the Central Bank and the Securities Commission. Immediately, they said a condition for Ms. Bullett's approval is that you remove this dotted line to the CEO. And they went back and said, oh, it's just for administration. If Ms. Bullett needs to go on vacation, she won't tell the board she's going on vacation. She'll tell the CEO. They said, do you have an HR? She'll tell the HR. Okay. And then they want to see the job description. They said, is she compliant? She cannot be compliance and risk. You must hire a risk officer, right? You have more than 900 clients. And so again, like I say, you could talk to the cows, go home, and I sort of tell you twice, and then I send you an email, and then okay, go ahead, let the regulator tell. Okay. And so the regulator has been good with the CEOs who want to influence you, so you could compromise yourself or approve their account. They have that awareness of that influence, and so they make sure that you're not in that position where you are influenced, right? And so yes, when I go on vacation, I tell HR, and I just send an email out of courtesy and say, I'll be on vacation, speaker, or what have you. Okay, so you can advise them, you cannot make them do anything. And you have to remember that, because some of us have heart attacks over, I tell these people this and I tell these people that, and I used to be that way. And after years of heartache and pain and stress, I decided that I had that 3 rule. I tell you once verbally, then I put it in writing, and then I explain to you what I put in writing, and then it's totally your decision, nothing I can do. Right? And I had a copy of manager, or in my board report, that quarterly report, I say, well, I said not to do this, and this is the fact. And I don't control the organization. I am just the advisor, and they did not take my advice. And board members have come back and say, well, they don't have to take your advice, Bullet. We documented it. You could give them a chance to implement. I said, sure, no problem at all. And then we have had some people say, we thank you for being proactive rather than reactive, and it'll be implemented right after this board meeting. So, don't be caught up in always being right or having that control. Know what your job function is, and give that advice, and don't have a heart attack over it, because the CEOs, they're responsible for revenue generation and where our money is spent, and things have to be approved, and they never have money for stuff that need to be done properly until something goes wrong. And so therefore, when you see that the organization is outside of your risk appetite, then move on. And this is where your networking comes in. And this is why you will go to those seminars and you sit next to the people, not to harass them, but you sit next to people, because right at a seminar, there was a senior compliance officer at another institution, and You know, one day I sat next to her and she just gave me very good information on the taxes when nobody really understood. And she was from America. And I was like, oh, you're like a blessing from the sky. I'm so happy I met you. We exchanged cards. And so every time there was a seminar I looked for and I sat next to her and I got valuable information each time. And when she was retiring, she called me on the phone and said, Bullet, I'm retiring. This is the salary. And I just, you know, like that you always information seeking and very knowledgeable. And, you know, I spoke to the board and I told them that I recommend you if you're interested. But I wasn't interested, but, you know, that was just through networking. Yeah. So yeah, that's all. What else y'all read in chapter 10? That y'all have questions or concerns. So Ms. Bullet going south. Yeah, y'all have sad story. Tell me, any questions or concerns? No? Y'all still there or y'all sleep?
No, we are.
We right here.
Okay. So, Miss Bullet ready to start our weekend? It's a nice boat day.
One of these days you gotta invite us on the boat.
My boat is a fishing. It's a fishing boat. It's a fishing boat. Yeah, it's a fishing boat. It's here for pleasure.
We could go fishing too.
Huh? I know you.
We could go fishing too.
God,
I can miss
agree
these
with that.
classes. Honestly, I
Guess
can
what?
miss these classes.
But guess what?
If I close my eyes, it could be a yacht. It doesn't matter.
But let me tell you what I do, because I invested in this boat, and you know how men are. You know, as a woman, I need to know my place. So I now BTVI and the Maritime School was offering lessons for just $25. So remember when I told you all, I understand from your point of view how these classes be. Miss Bullis be sleep in the class, they ain't handing in the homework on time, doing all kind of stuff. So now I learning how to handle this boat, and so I can make sure my investment is protected. Okay, so that's what I do it now. Make sure these men who like tell me know my place, they already pay my money, and that's all I need to be concerned about. One day I go hop in the boat and pull off by myself. Yeah, who Justine, I like to catch my own fish. Fish expensive. Yes, Justine, very expensive, very expensive. And it's been, I'm surprised, it's been very lucrative, and this has been like one of my best investments that I've ever made in my life. The return is excellent. Okay, and I didn't necessarily put my money, I put more time, because I got in with some family members, and the Small Business Development Center was offering grants, and they had a grant on the fishing and farming, and I applied, and I said, just the government ain't gonna ever respond. And just before the election, the government responded, and we were approved for a grant, and a grant is what you don't have to pay back. And so I didn't technically go in my pocket. They're not business savvy, and I definitely can't go out and catch the fish. So I just did the business part of it, and we were successful, got the grant and got the stuff and got the boat in the water. So you don't always have to spend your money to invest. You could spend your time and your knowledge, and grants are going on now. So to get your business off the ground, visit the Small Business Development Center. Yeah, and like I said, this has been my best investment, which just all I invested was time and knowledge in the application process, and patience, because they did take 5 months to approve us and 5 months to give the money. But it has been very, very successful. Good revenue has come from it in just like 6 months. Yeah, so if you network, get with like-minded persons. Like I say, I just got with a fisherman, not with a lawyer or a doctor or what have you. He did not do the business accident. I say, I could help you. They doing this, and he say, okay, apply, and poof, just like that. Okay, so there are a lot of opportunities out there. And this is why I say read the newspaper every day, because when you see the government saying that we have $5 million to invest here or $40 million to invest there, you are to say, I am a Bahamian. Piece of that $5 million for me. How do I get it? Okay, and so that's what you do. You don't let everybody else get the $5 million and all their cronies and what have you. Because I mean, that's what could happen, but you could get, they have to make it look good. So one or two of us may be successful. Even with this marijuana thing, I'm telling you, that's gonna be billions of dollars. If you could get if you could be the security company for the marijuana fields. Like I say, that's the biggest part. I think they need too much security to watch them fields down in Andes.
And they'll always need KYC officers.
And there you go. There you go. And like I said,
that's simple.
I was on an interview with the central bank. And so they asked all the relevant information about banking and the economy and blah, blah, blah. And they said, so Ms. Bullitt, now we're going to take a twist. What is your view on legalization of marijuana? I say, what? That was a curveball, but nice, I support it 100%. We need a new industry, saying that we lost all the 17% of GDP. And I say it's been successful in any other country, you know? And they say, what do you think will incur the biggest cost? I said, security. And then I had just seen the farmers on the TV crying over, you thief their mango, somebody thief their sheep, you know, and ain't no laws. People laugh. A juju tree, you know, we always thief in the juju and the canapa thing. We don't think nothing about it, but that's somebody's livelihood. In fact, Rodney Munker, when he ran and the political party, and he had disclosed his assets, remember that's when he became popular. He had 3 mango trees, 4 pigeon plum trees, some peach trees. You all remember that? Or y'all was too young?
Say too young, I remember that.
You all remember that? Okay, and hence then he has been popular until now he's a consultant. Okay, look out, Rodney. Yeah, but like I say, when you read that newspaper and you see $5 million invested, don't care what industry that is, peace for you. Go out and get it. Okay. So guys, y'all have been excellent. Y'all held on to the end. You were 95% there. All of y'all passed. You listen to the recordings, you do your research, you were fully prepared. Okay, and I have like no doubts, and I think somebody had asked with the passing rate, it is like an 80% passing rate for the persons who would have listened, who would have engaged themselves, who would have participated. Very successful. And 90% of you are going in to the exam with your full 30%, so you're more than halfway there. We have 1 or 2 outliers. I may have some mercy on that, but we have to be organized as compliance professionals. We can't be dead, you know, on the deadline and always have an excuse and a reason why. We have to be disciplined. And if you all feel that Ms. Buller is a little harsh, it's because I'm trying to do for you to be disciplined. You know, this is why I say don't wait till the end. If you don't wait till the end, you will be successful. If you know halfway through that, you know, me and Ms. Bullitt speaking the same language, then you'll be okay. Okay? We here to win. We here to be successful. It's like I said, this is very achievable. All right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Jade, for your comments. Okay, so next week, guys, Wednesday, it is our last day, and then hopefully I'll see most of y'all in ICA. Okay, but nevertheless, if you say, Ms. Bullitt, definitely not, I can't deal with hearing your voice again. This might end. Please, you know, keep reading the newspaper, networking, attending the various seminars, getting your name out there, and you know, whether it's credit or finance or legal or operations. We don't need, you know, only compliance officers in our network. We need everybody strategically placed through the organization. So when Glenn blows the whistle. Felicia supports her, and Justine says, I keep quiet, but when we go in there to vote, I know whose side I on. Okay, and we could take our country back and have those seats at the table to make those
One
very
position at a
important.
time.
Yes, yes. Okay, we can do this. And then after these positions, to the government, because Lord God knows, we just need to flush all them and their third generations and some new ethical people who actually interested in the country and making the country in sustainability for the people, not just all for me babies who trying to get rich. Okay, or activists for 6 months and then you think you could be the government and then we don't hear you no more. Where you is now? Where you going? Lobbyists. Okay. Okay, guys. So you all have a fabulous weekend. And
Thank you so much.
Thank you, you
remember to
too.
call Miss Dean, and I'll see you all on Wednesday.
Well, don't forget me, please.
Oh
Yes,
yes,
ma'am.
Yes, thank
go
you.
ahead.
Okay.
Is,
And everybody else
is
can
there-
sign out.
which
Have
one
a
is
good weekend,
Andrea,
all.
please? Who's Andrea?
Let me look. Okay, Justine, stay on. I can tell you who's on good.
Please.
No, I wasn't asking. Someone else is asking.
Oh, okay. Who's asking?
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Okay, stay on. Oh dear. Let me look. Miss Bullet must use a old list.
Yeah, because I've never seen an Andrea in the class.
You never seen Andrea. Let me see. Andrea Bennett. Okay, Andrea moved from. She said that she couldn't handle intermediate. She moved into intro. That's what happened with her. Andrea.
Okay, so
Okay.
I guess I'll do it by myself, I guess. If no
Okay,
one-
and then I'll fill in for anything that you miss. So just do your best.
Okay, all right,
Okay,
thank you.
all right, great,
Wednesday,
thanks.
bye-bye.
Yeah. Quintette, go ahead.
Afternoon, Miss Bullet. Good morning, actually, still morning. Well, the class was very intriguing. I enjoyed it from intro, the intro class with you as well. Yeah, I may not have been as effective or speaking as much as I did inside intro classes because I kind of second guess the intermediate course. It wasn't too much for me to handle, but I was second guessing it because the market was becoming a lot saturated with a lot of compliance officers and stuff like that. And I tried many times to apply for positions in compliance, but I was not. I was unfortunately I wasn't hired, even inside my firm. But as I was doing the homework this week, the essay this week, I became very intrigued and I like it again now. And I definitely want to do the ICA course, but I'm asking you if you received my homework last night.
But we didn't accept anything after 11:59 because I said last week, you wouldn't believe how many problems that we've had with like 3 or 4 students. They just keep sending expired homework. 1 or 2 had to do a redo. They didn't hand that in. Somebody made a big complaint. When I said they sent all these emails saying we help other people and we helping them, it was just crazy. And
Oh yeah,
so
I
that's,
remember you said the last class.
yeah, and that's why I said last week that would be it. In fact, because of all the situations we had out of this class, we are now removing that we'll even accept late homework. Yeah, because like I said, we had complaints and everything, so it was a courtesy that we offered to the students, but somebody sent us 4 revisions and demanded that we accept a 5th one. So it was crazy, and so I was told to discontinue it immediately, which I did last week. Now, what's going to happen with you is, if you do not pass the exam, and your grade from that can bring you up, we will add it. But if you pass, then we will not add it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was trying to send it last night after 10, but I couldn't. It's like Well, since I left UB to do the course here, and I was using my Word on my laptop, and they give us we have a free. It isn't a trial. They offer, you know, an incentive for us to use all Words, all Microsoft Office for free. And where I wasn't in UB from last fall, because I would have done intro last fall. They expired. I didn't know what they did with it, but I could go on Word, I could save a document, but it wouldn't be on the cloud. It wouldn't be saved. So when I fell asleep, I jumped up after 3 o'clock and I searched for my flash drive, and what I did was I put it on my flash drive, and it was able to send off my little brother's laptop.
Okay, so let me use your own words against you. Now you see the importance of planning.
Yes, ma'am. That's
And
the
now you see the importance of not waiting to the last question to submit it in case you have a problem.
yeah, I see that.
Okay, good. So don't do this again, please, because now you learn a valuable lesson. Now, like I said, we will make you pass, put the whole class over, but if you need the points to make up your grade, because the exam is only 70% of your grade. So if you need the points, we'll apply it. If not, then you probably will get
Okay.
like 70% on the dot.
Okay.
Okay? But you have your 10% for participation and for your civic organization. So you should be okay, but just make sure you get a good grade on the final exam.
Yes, ma'am.
So prepare yourself. You still at Royal?
No, ma'am, I left at Fidelity now.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I was gonna send you to somebody in compliance at Royal to speak to, but yeah, I'm not familiar with my people at Fidelity. They actually left in the same FTX that we spoke of. They left Fidelity and went there. So I don't even have anybody at Fidelity in compliance I could refer you to. Yeah, but
Okay.
be hopeful, continue on. Nobody can take the knowledge away from you, and that's what makes you effective. So just like I said, be hopeful and develop your revenue streams, and you'll be fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Okay, good. Take care. Enjoy your weekend.
Okay, take care.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.